amazing viewers wherever you're watching us from. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning on AM Cafe. My name is Adekemi Amo, and joining me this morning in the studio is Mr. Afiz Azan, who is the Resident Anti-Corruption Commissioner, who will be discussing with us this morning on the duties of the Commission on how to curb indiscipline in the society. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining me this morning in the studio.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you, sir. So our topic is the duty of the Commission on how to curb indiscipline in the society. So for the sake of the viewers at home, please can you give us what indiscipline is and the acts of indisciplines that we have in the society?
Okay, good morning, viewers. Very simply and quickly, indiscipline literally just means disobedience to set rules and laws. These rules don't necessarily have to be codified. They could just be the natural rules that communities come together. That is either they are cultural or they're actually statutory offenses created by every society or community. So disobedience to those rules is simply what indiscipline means. Now, basically it starts from the family, because before a child gets to know the codified laws and modes of every society, it is the family, the first unit, that he begins to learn the difference between what is right and what is wrong. And then from there, he grows up. It is what he learns from the home that he projects into the larger society as he grows up. It is only when he becomes an adult that he comes to know of penal laws regarding theft, corruption, and all that. Going forward, the commission was actually created with a very large mandate, and the mandate is basically to fight corruption in many varieties of ways. Now, one of the ways, the ways are this, is through enforcement, which is investigation of corrupt cases as well as prosecution. Now, it also does that by engaging the public mobilization to fight against corruption, to understand the ills against corruption and help in coping and fighting it. It also does that by public education. Like what we're doing now is part of the public education regarding what the commission does against corruption. And then it does what we call system studies and review, and looks at processes and procedures of public bodies and advise them on how best to block the loopholes and fight corruption. Now, when we talk about corruption, corruption stems from indiscipline. Like I gave the definition of discipline or indiscipline in the first place. We said it's just discipline is obedience to rules and laws. Conversely, indiscipline is disobedience, disregard for rules and laws. Now, Nigeria has created robust anti-corruption laws. The ICT, starting from the Code of Conduct Act, ICPC Act, EFCC, police, a variety, because we adopt in Nigeria a multi-pronged approach, multi-agency approach to the fight against corruption. And that underscores the importance, the weight that the government after government in Nigeria have placed on the fight against corruption. So if we take it that this indiscipline is disobedience to laws, corruption itself, when a person is corrupt, it means that person is indisciplined. So that is the connection. So whatever the commission does in the fight against corruption is by extension a fight against indiscipline. I can give you copious examples. Like the commission takes, we actually investigate cases to do with, let's say, sex for grades in the universities. Yeah, we handle cases of lecturers molesting female students, for instance. We of course handle cases of lecturers collecting bribe, yeah, or extorting money from students in one way, one form or the other. And we know those kind of immoral activities where lecturers would either by force or by coercion have sex with female students just to pass them. In some cases, we found out that they have even passed, but the lecturer will fail a particular student deliberately simply because he wants to have sex with her. He wants to have immoral activities, relationship with her. So the commission deals with that as well.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, so what are the root causes of indiscipline in the society?
Okay. First off, it started from the breakdown of moral values from the home front. Societies used to be very, very closely knitted before. Everybody trying to observe the rules and regulations set by every society. The modes of the society, the conduct, the general conduct of the society is controlled by the culture of that society, the rules that they set for themselves, which for most cases were not codified, but they were passed on from generation to generation, from parents to children, making sure that a child is disciplined if he committed any act of indiscipline. But somehow, somewhere, with the advent of adopted values, we now tended to drop down those our African ancestral means of enforcing discipline, and then the society became a bit more liberalized, where parents see their children doing things that are not proper and they don't even caution them. And when you discipline the child, because we today have a very, very inordinate love, not only for material things, but even for our kids, to the extent that it becomes detrimental and counterproductive to the proper functions of the kids. And when a child is dysfunctional, it impacts on the society because he grows and becomes a leader later in life. So it started from the home front. I remember when we were kids during our time in primary school, just coming to school late sometimes would earn you serious lashes. It was not wrong. But today, people see it as completely like debasing. Yeah? To the extent that parents, because their child commits an offense in school and a teacher disciplines him, they will go to the school and fight the teacher. So what are you teaching the child? To be wayward, that he can do anything and go scot-free. But the end result of that attitude reflects in the society. And that is why we've had this almost complete breakdown in moral values. We have parents today that know their children are into Yahoo Yahoo, and they support it. We have parents that know their children do prostitution by trick. They will still be in their parents' houses, yeah, but they are doing prostitution in some ways. If you look at what's happening in the social media space now, where you see young girls or young boys brandishing all sorts of atrocities that they commit, they talk in the social media as if they did not emanate from any community. They open their bodies, they do everything anyhow, and nobody says anything. If you talk, they say this 21st century, and that's what has brought us to
the world is evolving.
Yes, we have today. The world is evolved. Of course, the world should evolve, but we should evolve from good to better, not from good to bad or from bad to worse. And when you have this kind of level of indiscipline in a society, in fact, in some communities today, even in the villages, it is today abnormal for a child to commit atrocities and any person within the community apart from his parents to punish him. The parents will now come and fight you. And we used to know that the training, the upbringing of a child was a responsibility of the entire community, not just the parents. Because the child belongs to the community. Of course, the first unit was the family, but he belongs to the community. And if he's bad, it's the community that suffers. So the same thing today. When Nigeria has this crop of indisciplined children and indisciplined men and women, tomorrow they will be the leaders, they will be the next generation. And when they get there, what do? So the cycle just continues.
All right, thank you very much. So, what is the authorities doing to enforce law and to enforce laws and regulations to maintain social order and discipline in the society?
Importantly, is enforcement, public enlightenment, then enforcement. And here's the reason. It seems like man, by his nature, is a transgressor.
Okay.
If you allow him to his own devices, he's definitely going to transgress. He's going to covet. He's going to do what pleases him, regardless of what, the impact of that on the society. So, at the beginning of societies now created laws. That was when we did not even have penal laws, statutory offenses like this. Societies now created laws by way of culture, morals, values, and all that. And then they set up mechanism for punishment for people that have transgressed. It could be banishment, it could be just shaming, naming and shaming. At some point in small communities, there are offenses that a member of the family, just a member of one family, would commit. And the entire family suffers for it because it will be used against them, abuse them with it and all that. They will shame them to the extent that to even marry from the family, maybe you have, I have somebody I want to marry from that kind of family, and people will say, well, my family will say, wow, you can't join blood with those kind of family and all that, because they are seen to be morally debased family, coming from just one person that a member of the family that committed an offense. So that was how early societies maintained laws and order and structure in their societies. Now, as societies evolve and expand, when societies go to that mercantile stage, from the feudal stage to the mercantile stage, now societies realize that they needed to create penal laws.
Okay.
So when you create penal laws, you have to enforce them. Yes. Because without enforcement, they mean nothing. Absolutely. So basically, we have to keep enlightening the people to understand the damage that indiscipline and corruption, whether it is financial corruption, whatever kind of corruption, does to the society and how it impacts on each and every one of us. That's first and foremost. Then we get people engaged to fight those bad behaviors, because I know it's going to affect me.
Now, sorry to cut you in now. Is it just about fighting those bad behaviors, or now you guys actually prosecute people so people can say that, okay, if I'm stealing and I'm being caught, this is my punishment, this is what I'll go for it? So is there something like that, or you just get people who commit those offenses, and then when you put them on trial, you just abandon them somewhere, and that's the end of the case?
No, of course. That's the angle of enforcement that I'm talking about. Now, the angle of enlightenment and education is to get people to be aware of these laws and to hate corruption, to help us in fighting corruption and indiscipline, and then to report to the commission in case you've seen somebody transgressing. Now, significantly and very importantly is the enforcement aspect of our work, which is investigation and prosecution. So when a person commits an offense, either because someone has reported him by way of writing petition or by way of intelligence, that we just get to know that something is happening, and we investigate and we find one or two persons indicted and culpable, the commission prosecutes them and the court sentences them.
All right, thank you very much, sir. So is your commission collaborating with educational institutions to instill values? Because I don't know if you came across a story that was making the rounds last week or 2 weeks ago about a 15-year-old boy or 14-year-old boy, I can't really remember the age group, who raped a 15 or 14-year-old girl to coma. And the parents and the hospital, the girl is trying to raise funds for the treatment, and then everybody has said a whole lot, and then it came to the social media on Twitter, whereby I read that it was said that the child involved, the 14-year-old guy involved, is a minor and can't be prosecuted. Now, this is something that the guy is still, at most, it will be a GS2 student or a GS3 student. So what is your commission doing to collaborate with these educational institutions?
Okay, first off, in that regard, the commission has students anti-corruption vanguards in a lot of secondary schools. And that's what we do. Catch them young. Right from secondary school, we begin to engage students regarding the ills of corruption and indiscipline.
Do you go to their schools to lecture
No,
them?
yes. We go to their schools, we lecture them, we organize programs for them, exciting
And
programs
how
for them.
regularly is this done?
It's regular.
Okay.
It's actually regular, but
Once in a session or every time in the school?
But you know, the thing is, the schools are many, and we are not that many, so we get stretched thin sometimes. But it's a regular thing that the commission does all the time. Now, beyond the secondary school, we also have in the university, tertiary institutions, where we have students volunteer corps within the institutions, and we go there, we organize seminars for them, organize lectures, trainings on the ills of corruption and how to fight it. Now, immediately after tertiary institution, the next stage is what?
The university.
No, that's within the tertiary institution.
Okay.
It's NYSC.
NYSC, yes.
So also have that for the NYSC. In fact, our people now, this current batch going on now, I think they're in camp now.
Yes.
Our staff are in each and every one of the NYSC camps in Nigeria today.
All right, thank you very much. So how many TV adverts or radio adverts do you have going on enlightening everyone in the society about the ills of indiscipline?
We
and
have
the consequences involved.
We have a national program that runs every week on NTA. It's called Corruption Must Go. Every week. So I think it plays out on Thursdays now, 3:30 p.m.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Now, everybody keeps saying, I'm an adult, I have the right.
So whatever you want to see regarding the activities of the commission, you watch that, you see that. And again, if you go to our website, you see all of this, everything that we do.
All right, thank you very much. Now, this is everybody keeps saying, I'm an adult, I can make decisions for myself. I'm 14, I can do and undo. I can do so many things. I'm not in secondary school, I'm not in university, and all the rest. Now, how is your commission trying to balance human freedom, human rights, or individual freedom rather, human rights, and enforcement of law and regulations?
Okay, so naturally, your freedom or liberty stops where another person's or the society's own begins. Basically, the problem is that of the parents. Of course, legally, you can't take a child of 14 because he's a minor to court and prosecute him. But of course, we also have the juvenile court, and we have the juvenile institutions like what they call what's it called? Sorry, I forgot it. But there's a particular, we don't call it prison. Yeah, it's a kind of institution for correcting juveniles that have been found guilty of certain offenses. But the law does not allow you to pronounce them like convict. But they go there, it's like kind of purgatory and a training institute for juveniles. So it goes there. But basically, when you give an example of this boy that raped, if that person came from a properly trained family, there's no way you could even think. So it meant that the boy had been exposed to things that were beyond the capacity of his brain to handle, adult stuffs. And he saw that either through television or through social media or through whatever. The rate at which we allow our children access to social media, you see a girl or a boy of 7 using his parents' phones consistently. Some, they even have small tablet that is connected to the internet. And we said, oh, it's internet age. But you do not put a leash on what these children do on this system. So you don't know what they watch. You don't know what they read. And it influences them. Even from movies alone. Movies have a way of normalizing the abnormal for you. So it is the home that should start first. But on our own side, we do what the law says. We enforce the law in appropriate circumstances, appropriate cases. And then we try to implore the parents to instill discipline in their children and word before they even get to that level that will have to catch them, prosecute them, and take them to jail.
All right, thank you very much. Yesterday night, I read the story of a guy who committed a crime. He went to prison. He was released. He was caught again for another crime. He went again for 6 months. He was released after the 6 months. And recently, the guy has been caught again for another crime. Now, is it safe to say, or can we say, this particular person is struggling or dealing with how to be self-disciplined? So what is your commission doing in regards to people like this? Because definitely I'm sure you must have seen people more than twice in the same correctional center, and then you keep wondering what keeps bringing them there. So what's your commission doing to help these people to be disciplined?
Okay, so that is actually outside our remit.
Okay.
That is within the remit of the court. Okay. If a person commits an offense, first-time offender, yeah, during sentences, there's what we call allocutors. So you appeal to the judge, or his lawyer is a first-time offender and all that, and that calls for some level of clemency, mitigation of whatever the punishment should be. But when he now becomes a second offender, a third offender, the judge naturally would instill the maximum punishment.
Okay.
Yeah, to reduce that propensity of recidivism. So it's not within the remit of the commission to do that. Some people are just recidivists. They just commit offenses again and again and again. And unfortunately, if it is not a violent offense, if it is a violent offense, the punishment is higher. The punishment can put a person off the street for life or for the longest of time, that when he even comes out, he will not have the energy to do it again. Now, in this case, rape is seen as a very serious violent offense in Nigeria. And a rapist could go for 20, 25 years. By the time he comes out, even if he goes in at the age of 20, by the time he comes out after 25, he'll be 45. He would have lost everything. You understand? So the same thing with corruption. But on our own part, if a person has been convicted on offenses of corruption, and then he does it again, and we take him to court again, we would ensure we bring that to the notice of the court that this person is a recidivist, so that the judge would enforce the maximum punishment for that offense. But let us not forget the fact that these sins are a function of the entire society. Certain penal laws prescribe specific penalties. A person that commits social offense goes for a maximum of 7 years, for instance. So it's within the discretion of the judge to give 3, 4, 5 to 7. Some people could get that 7, but the 7 is not just enough. So it does not deter them from doing it again. When a person is convicted of an offense and he goes and spends 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 month and he comes out, it doesn't really serve, particularly a person that's a street person. Yeah, that 1 month is nothing to him. So it now behoves on either the National Assembly or the State Assembly, as the case may be, to review the law and increase the penalty, as the case may be.
Okay, thank you very much. Since we started our discussion, you've been hammering on family, family, family. So now, in 2 minutes, because our time is so gone, kindly give a word of advice to every parent out there.
Every family should know this. If you do not pay attention to the training of your children, you actually have to pay a lawyer to defend them in court someday. If you train a child to be functional, the society becomes functional. If your child becomes dysfunctional because of indiscipline, the society becomes dysfunctional. And you as a family will suffer it first before the larger society suffers from the impact or the actions of your child or what. So please and please, families, discipline your children from the very young age. And when we talk about discipline, it doesn't necessarily mean corporal discipline like punishing, beating, and all that. We have ways of disciplining our children that they fear us and they love us. The combination of these two is what gives a child a straight and functional upbringing. He must be scared of consequences of his action, and he must also know that there are incentive and reward for good behaviors.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, so our time is well gone. So rounding up on AM Cafe this morning, we would like to say and appreciate our guests for today. So we're saying thank you for joining us in the studio this morning, Mr. Afiz Azan. Also, thank you to Mr. Odushino Michael, who was also present with us in the studio this morning. My name is Adekemi Amo, and on behalf of all the crew and all the production crew of AM Cafe,